Gwashavanhu is a former professional gymnast turned basketball player who has represented Slovenia at various international competitions. She transitions from a successful gymnast career where height became a limitation to excelling in a basketball, a sport where height was an asset. She quickly rose to prominence, playing for Slovenia's youth and senior national teams, and achieved significant success, including a silver medal at the FIBA Under-20 Women's European Championship. After her playing career, Althea became a sports physiotherapist for her former basketball club Cinkarna Celje, applying her experience as an athlete to help others thrive in sports and beyond. Your journey is fascinating, from a successful gymnastics career to becoming a professional basketball player. What led to make the big shift, and how did your background in gymnastics help to shape your basketball skills?
So, I was a pretty tall gymnast. At 1 meter and 88 centimeters, I was kind of the tallest always, and it was becoming hard for me to even compete. So even though I was A-level, so national level gymnast, I've won multiple national titles. And I remember my last junior national championships, I won beam and I got some silver medals, but I could barely compete on bars. So I was starting to hit the floor, I could barely get on bars. So my next senior, my last one, that was Slovene Cup, I didn't even compete on bars, so I came third on floor and vault. And after that I just realized that I couldn't handle it anymore. And I was starting to look for other sports since I was always athletic and I needed something like that in my life. And there were always the local club next to us, they saw me walking around and asking me, "You're so tall, you should come and play basketball." So that was my first choice because I was asked to come there before. And after I just came there, I seen the sport, I tried it, I was kind of good at it, I had good coaches, and the team brought me in, so it made sense to stay with them, it felt good.
So as we mentioned, you competed at the European Championships in basketball, and so basketball became more than just a hobby. What was it about that experience that pushed you to fully commit to the sport basketball?
I tried to juggle both sports for a while, and I only lasted for 3 months. So I was running to school, and then I went to gymnastics practice, and then I had to go to basketball practice, and it was just too much. So after 3 months I decided I was just gonna stay in basketball. I liked the team atmosphere. I knew that I could compete and continue to compete in basketball, whereas I knew I couldn't do it anymore in gymnastics. So that's how I transitioned fully to basketball, and after 8 months I made it into national team under 18, if I'm not mistaken. I was a year younger, but I made the team, so it became very serious very fast. So I just went with the flow, and then I stayed in basketball and I just went with it. You know, I listened to my coaches, I practiced as hard as I could, and that is how I got there. Of course I had a lot of background with gymnastics because my coordination, my strength, my speed, my jump, everything I brought from gymnastics to basketball. So the transition was, they had to give me a ball, teach me how to shoot, teach me the tactics, teach me how to play defense. That's why it was so quick to such a high level.
And at what point in your basketball career did you start thinking about your post-sports future? How did your transition to physiotherapy happen, and how did you prepare for that change?
Oh, that one went a little bit more natural. So I went into basketball altogether. I played 5 seasons, so I was only in basketball for 5 years, whereas I was a gymnast for 10 before that. So in the 5 seasons, I went through high school and started university. So I was in educational system all that time, and I always wanted something for after my career. I chose physical therapy because I've had problems with my injuries before. It was something that made sense, and I always wanted medical field, so I never went into medicine itself because I couldn't juggle the timing. But physiotherapy is still medical field, and it worked hand in hand with sports. So after first 2 seasons, I switched the club, so I started playing professionally. I could barely juggle the last year of high school with professional level basketball, and then I went into university, and I only lasted another 2 years, and that was after my 5th season. I just chose because basketball wasn't my first sport. So if that would be gymnastics, that level of gymnastics, maybe I would continue down that path. But I love basketball. I was kind of good at it. I had good results, but it wasn't my first and core sport. So when it was a decision between my love for medical field and by that time physiotherapy itself, it was an easier of a decision for me to let basketball go. And that's how I switched completely to physiotherapy. So I finished playing basketball. The same year I just made a debut in the senior national team, and I played the qualifications for the European team, and then on my peak I just decided I can't juggle both anymore, and I was falling in love with physiotherapy more and more, so I just switched fully and committed to that.
So being an athlete builds unique skills like teamwork and discipline. How have these qualities helped you in your career as a physiotherapist, and what do you think young athletes can take into their future careers with these qualities?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, sports give you so much. The sport itself, you said it gives you discipline. You learn how to work hard for something, and I think it's important that you learn community within the sport. You see how people help each other, even if it's a team sport such as basketball. Anyone who's been into team sports knows that the chemistry of the team is on another level. You build kind of a family dynamics within the team. So even in gymnastics, as it being an individual sport, you still have coaches, you still have teammates, and everyone goes on beam alone. But the cheering, the community, the support that lasts long after the career is ended, that just gives you something more. And then once you have those values, those are life values. You can apply it into your professional field. I could apply it to physiotherapy. I could apply it if anything I choose in life. Sport itself gave me a further push. I value things on a different level because of it. And as for physiotherapy, I'm a sports physical therapist now, so it was easy for me to make that difference, to have that something extra, because I knew how it was to be a professional athlete. So I knew exactly day one what professional athletes want and need. So just combining that with my physiotherapy skills that I got through university, through education, and combining both, knowing how it is to feel like, knowing how it is when you're hurting, knowing what athletes need, that gives you an advantage to work easier with them. Plus, you care for people on a different level, because you care for your teammates, you care for, like I cared for my teammates before, that's how I care for my players now. So it really gave me a head start.
Is there any advice that you would like to give to young athletes, both for succeeding during their peak and preparing for their life after their sports career?
Yes. I have to say, I truly do believe that it depends on the sport that you're in and the level that you're playing at. So for me in gymnastics, if I could, I would probably still be doing it. Of course not at a high level, but I would be doing it for myself as I do now. That's my recreation. I'll just go into the gym and flip around as much as I can. But if you're in professional sports where you live off, when there's contracts, when you're in a different country every year, if your goals in sports as being an athlete are headed that way, then I think it's best to do the maybe high school education and do something of university that you can juggle. I could not juggle physiotherapy with that level of basketball. Whereas if I would choose a different path with my education that would have less hours, or maybe only less hours that you physically have to be there, then I could continue with my basketball career down that path. But if you have high goals for your professional career, that means playing internationally, living off of that, that's a job, then you need a lot of your mindset focus into that. And you need that in university, so you kind of need to choose. But if you have a sport that you don't want to be that A level, go all in, then it's just follow your heart and what you really want to do in life before you wanted to be an athlete. So I wanted to be into medical field before I was even a gymnast, so I just chose my path that was outside of sports, and somehow both those ways found a way and stuck together now.
So the last question is about that you ended your career when you were at peak of your basketball, but how do you define personal success now beyond sport?
Oh, it's probably a funny thing for me personal. I value or maybe define my personal success by the players I've helped, by girls I've helped 7 years ago that have stopped playing basketball by now, and they still give me a call when they do something and think of me. I get calls from a girl and she goes, you know what, I can run around and play with my little sister because of you, even though I'm not playing basketball anymore. So years after, I get that verification, I'll get that's value, that's my success. When I get my girls that stop playing basketball, they went to university and they'll call me, yes, I'm in faculty of sports and I passed gymnastics because of all the advice you gave me, So I know I healed a lot of injuries. I had a lot of players return to sport after serious injuries, and that's great, that's just my job. But the value behind it is just that connect that gives what you give more to athletes, and that's what sticks with them. So my value as a physiotherapist now is to have that personal touch to it, and that lasts a lifetime.
Althea, thank you for your advices and answers on our questions.
Thank you very much for having me.